see some of our members tonight. This is really bizarre. I will admit I'm the world's worst Zoom person. So hi, Oda. And there he is. And I think the board is all here. Let me look at all you guys, all your smiling faces. Are we all here? Yes, we are. Okay. So all the folks in the little screen here is our board that makes up our wonderful, illustrious board of management for the BIA. So I'll get started. I have the time at 7:02. Kayla, are you ready to get started?
You're good to go.
Okay. So I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. Thanks for joining us. I know it's always hard after a long day to log in when you've got kids and dinner and probably other things going on. So it's really nice of you guys to join and to be part of our BIA presentation. Tonight's meeting is the annual general meeting. So this is basically a chance to kind of let you know what we've been doing last year and tell you how we've been spending some money and let you know more about what we're going to be doing next year. So I think one of the hardest things this year for us, can you see that little participants window? How do I get rid of that? Sorry, I am the world's worst Zoom person. Here we go. I just gotta move that.
You can just close it.
Oh, okay, perfect. Because I was like, it's right in the middle of my presentation. Okay, sorry guys, not very professional. Okay, so here we go. So yeah, so thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming out. We'd love to see more and more participation in the BIA. We're always interested in more volunteers and more ideas and more feedback. I think you can all appreciate that what we've been through is a pretty tough year for 2020. And 2021 so far has been just as tough in a lot of ways. So please understand that planning on our parts, the BIA board has been meeting a lot in the last month, more than we've met in probably a year. And we've been having a lot of planning meetings to really put together some great plans for 2021. But in saying that, let's just recognize right now that, you know, there's a lot of unknowns out there. So we're putting out some plans to give you an idea of what we think we should be doing this year based on feedback we've had from you, from the community. And, but we also have a good eye on the idea that we will be flexible. So with the Simcoe County Health Unit allows us to do events, then we will move very quickly to start figuring out if we can do events. We will do all of those things. So I just want you to kind of keep an eye on this. This plan was put together for now to understand what in the circumstances we find ourselves, let's say that. And there are lots of things that can change should and hopefully the pandemic and some of the restrictions lift during 2021. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to do a bit of our usual business that we do at the beginning of every meeting. So what we do is we go ahead and approve the agenda. If you haven't got a copy of the agenda for tonight, you can find it very quickly on clearview.ca website under committees, BIA. You look at the calendar and there'll be a section there with an agenda. We meet on the second Tuesday of every month. So if you'd like to join us, you can, or if you have questions or ideas or any sort of feedback to give us, the second Tuesday of every month is our meeting at 7 p.m. Lately, they've been a lot of board meetings simply because we've been constricted by Zoom and by not having in-person meetings, but hopefully we'll go back to meetings where it's a bit easier to kind of pop in and see us face to face. So we're going to go ahead and approve the agenda for tonight. So can I get somebody to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda dated March 9th, 2021? Heather, thanks. And do I have a seconder? Jen, I think I saw your hand. So yep. All in favor of approving tonight's agenda? Okay, and the motion is carried. So what you'll see here is this is the Board of Management. So those are the folks, I think everybody can vote actually, because we're in a general meeting, aren't we? But here we are. Okay, so that is the motion carried for the agenda. The next thing I'm going to ask everyone is if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest, if you're comfortable with that term, or the nature thereof. And at this point, if you're not sure about this and you want to raise it at any point during the meeting, you're welcome to. And does anyone have any pecuniary interest they'd like to put forward at this time? I don't see any hands. On that note, I just wanted to do a little bit of a public service announcement. We are having conflict of interest training on March the 23rd. It's a Tuesday at 7 p.m. The folks from Principles of Integrity are going to be joining us via Zoom. It's open to BIA members and to the board. It's excellent training. I know Sarah and I, and possibly Heather, have done it in the past and a couple of years ago when they had it at the township. And I think I certainly learned a lot. So it's definitely worthwhile coming, joining, learning about what is all this conflict of interest and why do we ask about it at the beginning of every meeting. Certainly if you're unsure about it or you'd like to learn more, that's the meeting you want to be part of. So that's just a little public service announcement, March 23rd, Principles of Integrity, Conflict of Interest Training. All right, so we're gonna hop right in. We as the board have prepared this presentation throughout our planning sessions in the last month. And I'm gonna start us off and gonna ask Sarah to jump in when we talk a little bit more about financials and various different parts that she's part of. And what we'll do is I'll run through the presentation. I'm gonna go through a bit of last year, a bit of this year. And then what I'm gonna do at the end is open it up. So all of you guys, even the folks that are there that we don't see necessarily, that are not members of the board, we're gonna let you join in so that you can certainly give us feedback. We'd love to hear your questions. If you don't understand something or you have comments, that's great. We'd love to hear it. So please feel free to participate towards the end. Okay, so here we go. Welcome to the BIA. Oh, how do I move my, okay, hold on guys, sorry. I gotta move you guys because you're right in the way of where I need to see my screen. Okay. Do you see this or do you see the whole slide or do you see my little videos? Okay, thanks. Okay, so overview. This is just a bit of an agenda for this presentation so you know where we're headed. We're gonna talk a little bit about 2020 and review what a year it was. Then we're gonna head into our BIA plans for 2021, which are some major kind of topics or some of our biggest priorities, which is the experience you get in Creemore, our community support as always, our marketing and events plans, and our always perennial favorite, long-term planning. So without any sort of feedback, let's keep going. Hellos and goodbyes. So this year, 2020 was a long time on BIA members. I think it was a good idea that we acknowledge that some of them left our BIA. Hillview Wines and Darcy Q, Cardboard Castles, The Grove, Affairs Bakery, although Affairs Bakery is still here, just we lost Norma. She decided to sell her business. So those are folks that we will certainly miss, and we hope to welcome them back into the community when we have events or we see them on the street. We'll be happy to see them back around in town. And then we get to welcome new members as well. So Creemore Bakery, which previously was known as Affairs, has now joined us on Mill Street, as well as the Creemore Apothecary. I think Kate is in the meeting tonight, so that's awesome. The Refillery joined us as well and moved to a bigger store. The newsstand, some of these stores opened up in the middle of a pandemic, so you really have to give them credit. They worked really hard, and it's not easy to open a brand new store in a brand new town during the middle of a pandemic. So I give all these people like, wow, pat on the back. Newsstand, the pop-up gallery, which was the art gallery right next to the pub, and me, right around me, login 172. So those are hellos and goodbyes from this year. I think it's nice to acknowledge them. So also on the BIA Board of Management, as always, people are busy, they've got jobs and lives and all kinds of things happen. So what we would like to do is say goodbye and thank you to some of our friends that have put lots and lots of their own personal time into the board in the past few years. And we really appreciate all the hours and all the volunteer and all the positiveness they've given us in the last few years. So Karen Godino, thank you. Darcy Q, thank you. And Nancy Johnston. I think Nancy, you're on the phone. Thank you so much. You guys have all done so much work for us, blood, sweat, and tears in the last few years. We appreciate it. And with goodbyes, there's some hellos. Two people that you'll see on your screen tonight. We get to welcome two new members. So Jennifer, and the person we always ask about vaccines, and we ask her a million questions in all our meetings. She's like our resident medical expert. And also Oda Zepatowski. I don't know if I right from Quinn's Bistro, everyone's favorite chef on the street as well. So welcome you guys. We're so happy that you're joining us and that you're excited and you've got lots and lots of ideas to give us. Okay, so that's some of the fun stuff. Oh, pandemic year 2020. Oh, let's take a breath there. It was a crazy year for most of us. I think everybody that's sitting on this call struggled to keep their business alive in one way or another, and probably worked harder on longer hours than they've ever worked in their entire lives. And I'm certainly that's the case for me. And from all conversations I've had with all of you, I think that is the case for you too. It's amazing that we're getting through it and we're seeing light at the end of the tunnel. And even though it was a hard year and we had to cancel basically all the events that we do, there were some positives. And I think we should recognize some of the things the BIA did do. We met a lot, we did a lot of work still. A lot of things went on in the background, sometimes not that you see as the membership. So sometimes a lot of these things happen, but maybe you don't necessarily see it, but it's sometimes a lot of work from your board members. So we assisted Clearview Township, which they did an excellent COVID. So back in April and May, when we were still in the depths of our first lockdown, Amanda Murray worked with us very, very closely in developing this kit. We gave her lots of feedback. I think Sarah did the graphics for it. So that was something we did for all of Clearview Township in rolling out a really nice COVID kit to be able to give to all the businesses when they opened, which included hand sanitizer, masks, and all kinds of guidelines from public health. And boy, there was a lot of stuff in that kit, you know, signs and sidewalk signs and little signs for the pavement and for the stores about social distancing. So that was a really, really great thing that I think serves us still to this day. Updated. Oh, so at the same time, I know I did a lot of work as well as some of the board members in making sure we had the latest information. We were trying to send out newsletters at that time with resources and updates and where they could go for grants and CERB and employee information about how to lay off employees. Like there were so many unknowns at that time. So we did our best to do a lot more newsletters than we've done ever to try to give people updates constantly and resource where they can go and find information, because it was very hard to find at certain times. Something else that was really interesting last year, the Creemore Echo donated 3 times a full page, or maybe it was a full 2-page spread, if I remember correctly, to the BIA, which was really nice. So again, once we were in that first lockdown, the Creemore Echo what they did, they gave us space in the newspaper for free. And not only did they give us space, but they went around to all the businesses, surveyed everyone, collect all our information. So if you didn't have an online business, they put how you could be contacted. So if you had a restaurant or a store, they put in your email address, your phone number, your website, any way you could be contacted so that you guys could do curbside pickup. And that was a huge amount of work. I know it doesn't sound like it, but it was a huge amount of making sure everybody's phone number was correct and emails and just making sure they connected with everyone. And so that was a really huge project that the BIA supported and that the Creemore Echo donated. We advocated a lot for public washrooms. We heard all of the concerns this year for the public washrooms. We tried to talk to Township. You know, we did come to an understanding where they gave us some porta potties in September, but certainly it was a long, hard summer of no public washrooms. And certainly we took a lot of feedback from our members and we did try to pass that on to Clearview Township. We also worked with Dan Perot quite closely on the patio requirements for the restaurants. Again, when we were sort of allowed to open up with very strict requirements, a lot of restaurants didn't know what that meant, whether we could use the sidewalks and how much of the sidewalk. There was a lot of days where we were out with the restaurateurs in this town measuring sidewalks with Dan and measuring size of tables and patios and fences. And oh my goodness, like we did a lot of work there. So these are the sort of things that we did to support our members. You don't often see, but were really important. We worked with Councillor Patterson on a really interesting initiative. If you've ever driven by what is now the Creemore Bakery, previously Affairs, there's a big parking spot there that's green, that's parked, that's painted right onto the road. That has parking that Councillor Patterson had put forward to the council, and we supported that. We had some meetings to discuss it. And the nice thing about that is it gives bicycles, when they come into town, a very visual spot for them to park, and also allows, makes a very clear understanding for motor traffic. So for trucks and for cars not to park there, because they really understand that that is bicycle parking. It was one of the first initiatives like in Ontario. We were really proud to have it on Mill Street. We also Jen and I worked very closely on a sidewalk sale that we did in August. And from the feedback I've heard from members, that was very successful, because for the first time in maybe many months, some of our community felt like they were welcomed back onto Mill Street, because a lot of people didn't know whether they should be coming into stores or restaurants, or you know, how it's working. And many of them weren't comfortable coming in stores, which we completely understood as retailers. So the sidewalk sale gave us an opportunity to put things on the sidewalk, allow people at a very safe distance to do some shopping, to support local businesses, and also local businesses to support the community. So I think that was a really positive, good event, sidewalk sale. We also helped organize the Halloween trick or treat on Mill Street. So some great posters were put up for those folks that decided not to do trick or treating and those that did, because you had a choice this year, and everybody chose differently. But I think overall, again, the community really liked what we did. They liked that we recognized that the children were important and that the trick or treating was still something that happened even in the middle of the pandemic. Christmas in the Valley was also something we didn't stop. We traditionally do a shopping dining event to kind of kick off the season at the end of November. Obviously this year we couldn't really do that. We didn't feel comfortable doing a lot of advertising. We were inviting people in Creemore. So I mean, from farther afield areas like Toronto and things like that. So we did, we wanted people to encourage them to shop locally from our local residents. So what we did is draws, and we did gift certificates from the BIA. And we also did, each of the businesses, restaurants and retailers provided goods that we put into a basket where we had some draws. So when people purchased something from a local business, they filled out a ballot and they were entered into a draw, which was very successful. And I think people were really, really pleased and really happy. It looked like from the Echo pictures that they're really happy to win a gift basket, which had something in it from pretty much all of the stores on the street. Okay, so another of the really interesting things that we did in this whole pivoting world, if you're playing buzzword bingo tonight, stationary Santa Claus parade. So Sarah Hershoff and Natalie DeRuiter and Trina Burlow and Darcy Q all came together and really, really organized an amazing event, which was the stationary parade. So the idea was you had a map and the floats were all located within the community, and you could drive or walk around to all of the floats. You know, at 1 to 3 o'clock is our typical parade time. They had music going on, or, you know, they sort of animated their floats, or they waved to people, and they, you know, they had a good time. So it seemed like everybody was having a really fun time, including we had Santa set up at the log cabin. We brought out the Santa sleigh that we usually have as a float. And it was just beautiful what Darcy and Natalie did. They really decorated it beautifully. You could have your picture on the bench in front of the log cabin with Santa in the background. So we were socially distancing you from Santa, but at least you got to have a picture with Santa this year. So I think that was a huge success. And we wanted to thank Sarah and Natalie and Trina and all the folks at the Echo who really helped us pull that together, because that was a huge amount of work. And with all of this, marketing, something that I've also worked on, is something that we've been working on a lot this year. So we engaged with somebody who could help us manage our Instagram and do a lot of our content, somebody that was able to do a lot of photography for us. And with that, we have grown our Instagram following 80%. We have a lot more engagement than we've ever had. And we're quite proud of sort of the story that we're starting to build visually. We decided not to go straight out on Instagram this year and really invite people again, you know, into town, because we watched what was happening with Collingwood and some of these other villages and understood that there was a real kind of debate between the residents and the tourists, and whether the tourism and the BIA should be inviting people from outside of town to come shopping in their town. So, you know, it was a real bit of a conflict for us, and we struggled with that. So what we decided to do was really focus on the experience in Creemore. So, you know, the beautiful streets, the beautiful homes, the beautiful stores, and just sort of do, you know, each season go through some of the beautiful photos. And so what we did is just a very experiential visual guide to Creemore. And I think we'll be changing that in the next few months. But for this year, I think we started out and we've really doubled our following, and we've done a lot of work on it. So that's been great. Another huge initiative that took place in the background was our website. If you remember from years past, it's always been something that's been hard for us to manage and hard for us to deal with. But the website this year, we spent a lot of time on that. We engaged with evocative designs, Kathy Weber. who is a website designer and website builder. And she did a great job helping us build our website and really understanding what we needed to use technically to build it. We changed our hosting. We sort of got a lot of stuff really consolidated that needed to be done. And as well, we took pictures in all of the businesses this year. So we hired someone to go around to each business and do a vignette in each business so we could highlight really each business. And the nice thing about that is that we have somebody maintaining our website going forward. It's always been something that sort of we do, and then it's sat statically for a long time, and it's been really hard to update. So this year we have engaged with Kathy on a monthly basis to keep doing those website updates. So as we get events or we get new members, I know, Creemore Bakery has been talking to me this week about, updating their information on the website. So we'll be doing updates every month, which is kind of nice because that's been something that's been really hard for the board to keep on top of. Okay, so that was 2020. Oh, that was already a lot. Okay, we're not done. Now we get into 2021. So this is the big one. So here we go. And remember, this is what we're kind of thinking. Oh, see, you guys are all in the middle now and I can't move you. I'm really struggling with this. Okay, do that. I love seeing your faces, but then I can't read my own slides. Okay, here we are. So here's how we're kind of breaking out our priorities for 2021. A big topic in the last few years in tourism is experiences within the towns or experiences in the village. It's not enough just to be they want to kind of know what kind of experience they're going to have, and they want to have, they want to have something that they can remember the town by. So it's not just visiting individual stores, it's us working together to provide a wonderful experience when they get here. And we think the way we can do that is really upgrading our streetscape, which includes our seasonal flowers and decor. And also this year, something we're going to focus on, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, is doing a themed decor. And our themed decor this year will be around lavender. And we're partnering with a local lavender farm to work on doing that. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then community support is also something we really focus on. We'll be working with the farmers market. And this year there's an art group that's going to be, it's the Purple Hills Art and Heritage Society. We'll be doing an art show, which they're hoping to put in all of the store and restaurant windows and to be able to show off some 10 by 10 canvases that people are painting. So we're going to be working with all the different groups so that we can continue to support them and they support us as we're all part of the same town and same experience. The BIA members, member relations. So this is something we started last year. I think we made a lot of progress, but I think there's still more work to do. And Jen has very kindly stepped forward and offered to help us manage our database this year so we can continue to do more newsletters and just making sure that we get communication out to you guys, because we realize that we all get really busy running our businesses and sometimes we talk about things, but getting that information out is sometimes very hard for us. So we want to do more regular newsletters and really encourage people onto our Facebook group, because that is just the easiest place for someone to ask a question, or we can just pop something up really quickly, make sure you see the survey, or, we're going to be sending you a newsletter, watch your email, we can just, it's a great way to really, for us to communicate in a very informal way, just amongst each other. And also this year, with Oda joining us on the BIA board, he has very bravely volunteered to be our liaison downtown, which we are sort of calling him Oda on the street. But Oda is going to, because he already is doing a lot of this, but he's going to be popping around to the various different stores and restaurants and talking to people and gathering feedback and finding out more about what everybody is up to and if they have ideas or if they want to join in with something. So Oda's going to help us bring some of that feedback back, because it's not enough just to do newsletters and to do Facebook posts, but also we need input from you guys. We need constant input to make sure that the ideas that we have are in line with what you guys want to do. Okay, so long-term planning is something we started in our last AGM a year ago. And part of that is really this difficult process of looking at our levy. I know some of you might have responded to our levy survey that Sarah and I just put out, and the boundary review and understanding if we need to expand our boundaries. Sarah's going to jump on in a little bit and talk about that, but that's a really huge project that we're planning on implementing in 2022, but it will take us a year to do all that work. So that's a big one, but it's important one for the sustainability of the BIA, let me tell you. And marketing, everybody's favorite topic. So we're going to talk about marketing this year in terms of digital and social, which we're slowly but surely getting better and better at, and event marketing and events, and then physical advertising, get into ads and signs and things like that. So really telling our Creemore story around marketing. Okay, here we are. Here are some numbers. So this is our first slide of numbers. And Sarah, feel free to jump in here. Sarah's our treasurer. So, you know, feel free if I've missed something or you feel that I'm going too fast.
No, you're doing very well, Lori. Thank you.
Okay. There is a, Sarah's going to post this up. You probably can't see it, but it's the profit and loss overview. Sarah has so kindly put together this for 2021, excuse me. And I have that in front of me. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to put it in this presentation, but it'll be there tonight if you want to look at it and have a little bit more overview. But basically what you're going to see in the presentation are the same numbers. So you're going to see two different formats with the same numbers. So I'm going to go through some of these. And if you have any questions or you're not sure about something, jot it down, because at the end, I'm happy to go back and discuss some of these because it can be kind of complex. I know it's complex for me, so it's complex stuff sometimes. Okay, so flowers and seasonal decor for 2020, we spent about $7,000. We were very fortunate this year, and Nancy, who's sitting on the line tonight, knows that she worked very hard with Mara Burton from the Clearview Township to get us new planters. That was a huge deal for us, and it was very kind of the township to really pay for those, because those are a very big expense and something that we couldn't necessarily afford to do on our own. So we got these wonderful black planters. I think you're all familiar with big round planters. They sit about 3 feet off the ground. And the wonderful thing about these planters is they were designed for municipalities and that they hold over 40 liters of water. So the fact that they hold 40 liters of water will hopefully help us to reduce some of our watering costs this year. But in saying that, our flower costs are going to go up and up because we have bigger planters than we've ever had. And what we're doing now is experimenting with better plants that are a little bit hardier. So you'll see that our proposed flowers for 2021 is 9,300. We're working with a local business. We're looking more at sustainable, environmentally friendly plants that are all grown locally, pesticide free in our planters. And also we really need some extra help and labor in planting all of those planters because they're all sitting behind the library right now. So that's where we think we're going to spend a little bit more money. We want the town to look really beautiful this year so that when we do have the chance to open up, when we are able to welcome people back to our community, it's going to look amazing. So that's what we're proposing for our planters. And that, just by the way, I've put seasonal. I know we all think summer, but let's think spring, summer, fall, and winter we don't do planters, but there's winter decor in there. So that's all year round. So it looks like a big number, but that is for the entire year. Garbage, which is everybody on the board's favorite topic. Garbage, last year we spent $3,000. So let me explain to you what's in the garbage number. That includes the garbage bin, which is behind Home Hardware. Home Hardware, thank you very much, Patrick, for letting us put the garbage bin on your property. That's huge. And so the bin is there. The bin is useful to us, and I'll tell you why. If we do events, we generate a lot of garbage. When we did Creemore nights, Sarah and Heather and I, every night, Nancy, we were taking out bags and bags and bags of garbage. So it's really important that we have that bin for garbage. And the second reason is, you might have noticed there's these black metal boxes around town that you can put garbage in, and basically we pay for those, and we pay for the labor for those to be emptied every week, or is it every week, Sarah? Every 2 weeks, yeah.
No, those are emptied twice a week.
Twice a week. Okay, sorry. Because they get really full, and especially in the summer, and I know because I've had complaints about this, sometimes they can get a bit smelly, and just because it's people put food scraps, and especially with all the takeout food that people were doing in town this year, there was a lot more garbage generated than a regular year, which is interesting. There was more garbage this year than there is even with the years of events. And we think it's because, and it's no fault of the restaurants, but simply the point that people were doing a lot more takeout from restaurants. So our garbage receptacles were very full. So we do pay someone twice a week to go and take the garbage out and put it in our bin. So that's why garbage is not a very sexy thing to talk about, but unfortunately it's one of those necessary evils in a small town like ours. Watering and maintenance. Last year we paid $3,900 in watering and maintenance. That includes putting the water in all the planters at the beginning of the year and topping them up throughout the week, and also weeding the plants, you know, all these sorts of services. We really want to decrease that, and that's something we're hoping to talk to Township about. We have a meeting with Parks and Recreation, Terry Vachon head, next Monday. And we're hoping that we can maybe talk to him a little bit about asking the township to help us out a bit with this cost, because it is a high cost that we bear. And we know that, you know, we might be able to share some of that between the township and ourselves. So we're hoping that maybe we can collaborate. And Sarah and I have a couple ideas on how we can collaborate on that. So we're hoping to decrease that again. We've decreased it a bit from last year, but we're hoping again, maybe we can reduce that. But as it sits now, we think that's a number. So furnishings, part of what we're going to talk about with the lavender idea is that, you know, in decorating and theming the town with lavender this year, kind of having a Lavender Days theme during the lavender season of bloom, is that we're thinking of adding some furnishings to the town. And part of those furnishings we're proposing to you guys is Muskoka chairs that we paint in beautiful shades of lavender and have in different spots around the town, like pairs of chairs. So people that visit our town or choose to do takeout from one of our restaurants or cafes can have a place to sit. Some of the feedback we had last year was there weren't enough places for people to sit, because obviously once the patios were full, if they couldn't go in the restaurant or they weren't comfortable going into a restaurant, we still wanted to encourage people to do a takeout lunch or a takeout meal or breakfast, and they didn't have enough places for people to sit. So we really thought maybe we could do this seasonally for the summer, and that's something that we're proposing. So you'll see that we are upping the ante a little bit on our streetscape. We want to make it look more beautiful. What we're hearing from our members is that they really want our street to be stellar, to be beautiful, to be something to be really beautiful, like wonderful, and something people really take pictures of, they're very proud of. So that's why we feel that, you know, that bears a little bit more investment than last year. And also bear in mind that our levy is only $20,000 that we collect from the members. So if we didn't have the lovely donations that we have from our corporate sponsors, like the brewery, we would basically spend our entire levy on flowers and decor, and garbage. So something to think about as we move forward, but that's the number as it sits right now from the board is proposing. I'm gonna keep moving on. Member communication, community support. I talked about this at the beginning, just getting us to build a better database. I know I've tried my best to keep up with people's changing emails and things like that, but it's really hard sometimes. And sometimes people will tell me on the street about their emails, and 5 minutes later, I'm back in my own store helping customers, and I just forget to update the emails. So getting that organized, getting the building owners more integrated into our group is one of our goals as well. The building owners are members of our community, but some of them don't live in this community and they aren't necessarily really linked into what we're doing. So we want to include those people as well. Again, we're going to continue with our Facebook group and our face-to-face communications and printed materials. We've got Oda now coming to visit you and you can give him all of your feedback, good and bad. And we want to continue to do that. We have also our agendas and everything is on the Clearview Township website, which is great. We want to encourage more participation in meetings and fundraising and grant writing and volunteers for events. As usual, if you have something special that you love doing, you love writing grants, I'm sure you all love writing grants, right? Did anyone say they loved writing grants? Because we could really use some of folks to do some more of that work. And, you know, should we decide to do more events this year, if we're allowed to, we may have to go in to do some more corporate fundraising or just fundraising in general. So we'll need some folks to do some of this work because it's a heck of a lot of work, but we could really use a few hands there. And of course, we're going to work in cooperation with the community groups as we always do. You know, last year, the Tree Society pruned our trees for us. The Tree Society is responsible for all those trees on Mill Street. And last year, they did a wonderful job as volunteers pruning our trees so people didn't have to duck as they walked down Mill Street anymore. We always work with Purple Hills Arts and Heritage, which is PHAHS. The Log Cabin and the Jail folks, the Farmers Market, the Village Green, and the community, Creemore Community Foundation, we work very closely with as well. So all these groups we represent, on a lot of these groups, we try and help them out, we support them, and we hope that they, have our support as well. Okay, the other thing that's going to happen this year, as you all know, the Village Green is under construction. So you've probably seen that, through the hoarding, there's machinery and people building and lots of stuff going on back there. So there is still in the plans to have some sort of a program person, whether it be an event manager or program manager that's going to help with the Village Green that the Creemore Community Foundation will be hiring. So that will be a sort of a not-for-profit group that's hiring them. And we are involved in helping, mold and shape that position, and also to support that person, whoever they may be in the future, in working with the BIA. So that's something else that we'll work on this year. And of course, as always, we've talked a lot in our own board about the farmers market and how we can support them. And I know that's something that we're very keen to do and make sure that the farmers market continues to be successful in Mill Street. Okay, so here's another fun slide of numbers. I'm gonna take a drink. Okay, here we go. So what we've done this year, and maybe it might look a little different than last year or years past if you've been on the board. Typically we've gone event, and we've put a number beside each event. Well, the pandemic really threw us for a loop on that because we didn't have events. So we've started to think more about online campaigns as our new events, if you'll have it. Share the Love for Valentine's Day, we consider what was sort of an event, although it was all online and it was basically 100% marketing. So we're thinking if that works, and if we're still under the kind of restrictions we are under, we will be continuing to do some more online campaigns. So we're looking at online campaigns for the spring. We're looking at an online campaign for Mother's Day. So that again, we can do gift giving and Mother's Day, very similar. What we wanted to do was take that Valentine's Day mold that we built that template around and sort of roll it out with different themes and different holidays. So the next thing we want to do is Travis and I have been talking a lot about, Instagram video, because we got so much pickup from the Share the Love campaign and the video, and so many views from that we think, video is the way to go. So we've put some money behind that in 2021. So that's sort of what we talk about when we're talking about events and online. We've kind of merged that because right now our events are basically our online campaigns. So you'll see in 2020, we canceled all our events. So we didn't have very many expenses. Basically that comes from the Santa Claus Parade and the shopping event and the sidewalk sale. So we only spent $14.76 in all of those things. So it's pretty low compared to what we've done in the past. That's been one of our biggest line numbers in the past, and this year obviously it was nothing. So we're proposing a $4,000 because what we're hoping is, again, these online campaigns will take some shape and will help support the businesses online. And as well, we are planning again, to get back to things at Christmas. We put a little bit of money aside because we're hoping maybe at Thanksgiving, maybe September or October, and again it depends on public health. But we're hoping if people are vaccinated and restrictions lift, maybe by October, we should be able maybe to do an event. We don't know what that looks like yet. We haven't got plans. We're probably not going to plan it until the summer because we need to know very concretely that we're able to go ahead. But in the meantime, we're putting some money aside for some of these things. The other thing that we're doing this year that looks a little different than the things that the way we've sort of structured things last year is that we're doing rack cards and print ads. So what I want to stress here is that these are not campaign specific. So this year we're looking at doing a rack card that we're hoping to give out to visitors at the lavender farm, for instance. We're hoping to give it out around town or in some places just in the broader area. Rack cards that talk about coming to Creemore, what they can expect, the restaurants, the retail shops, and just inviting them into town in a really nice way. People still like those printed pieces to pick up and take with them, we find. And the other thing we think we might splurge out on that we haven't done in many years is we're going to look at some advertising, some print advertising that goes further afield. So this doesn't mean the Echo is always part of our events and online campaigns, because when we do events and campaigns, we always include an Echo ad. So that's sort of part of the event and online campaigns budget. But this is specifically print ads to talk about coming to Creemore, enjoying, you know, Clearview Township and all it has to offer. And we're talking about, and I'm not going to say that this is all concrete, but the kinds of places we're talking about advertising is maybe on the hills or in the hills, in the hills. And perhaps we can look at some publications in Toronto or further afield that's really inviting people to come to Creemore. We need to be very clear that we can invite people to come to Creemore. So some of these things may have to wait for a couple of months until we're really clear that, you know, we want people to come back here and to travel within townships. So that's where you'll see a little bit of a higher price there than we've done in the past. I've also included a line for social media management. We are very, very fortunate this year that Joey Leeser has been our amazing Instagram manager. Joey is 17 years old. He came to us as a volunteer, said he'd love to volunteer for us. He takes a lot of the photos. He creates a content calendar every month, and he creates all the captions and hashtags. He knows a whole heck of a lot more than I do about algorithms. And he puts together all of our Instagram in conjunction with the marketing committee every single month. So last year we decided to give him a bit of a stipend because he had worked so hard. He's on our Instagram every single day. If you've ever commented or you've ever asked a question, he gets back to you within an hour. We're very, very lucky to have him monitoring and managing our social media. So what we like to do is put at least $100 a month towards paying someone, because Joey will probably eventually go to university, and we may have to pay somebody to do that job as well. But I think it's only fair that somebody who's monitoring and managing our social media on a daily basis should have some sort of a stipend. So we've given them $1,200 because it is a huge job to be monitoring that all the time. Last year, our website, you know, we took a big investment because we didn't have events. We poured a lot of time and effort into organizing and planning and structuring a new website. So we've had $39.50 was the actual that we spent on our website. That includes the photography as well, and hosting, maintenance, creation, copywriting. We paid all those services. So that being now sort of done to you know, I know we don't have events on there. That has to sort of be worked out, but the website is done for all intents and purposes. So you'll see that that number has now decreased, and $700 is a monthly maintenance and hosting fee that we'll be paying for the website. But, you know, obviously that's going to sort of taper off. We'll still be paying maintenance and hosting yearly. Christmas in the Valley. Okay, so what we've done is we rolled up last night when we were talking about these numbers. There's, for the board's clarification, because there was a point about this last night and I did check into it. Sarah and I rolled up those numbers for the Christmas in the Valley and the Santa Claus Parade into events and online campaigns for 2020. So all events, including Christmas, $1,476 for 2020. Boy, was that a deal. Like, we did really well. But now you'll see for 2020, I'm pointing at my screen like you can see. Now for 2021, $5,800 and that's Christmas. So why is $5,800 so expensive? That includes, we are purchasing our float. The Santa Claus Parade float has been managed by a lovely gentleman named Mr. Harper for the last 50 years. And Mr. Harper has been maintaining this wonderful antique cutter, sleigh, and the mechanical reindeer for over 50 years. We think it's part of the Creemore heritage and it should be preserved. And so Mr. Harper has decided that he would like to, you know, let the float be moved on to another manager. He's sort of spent 50 years managing it. I think he's done a wonderful job, and it's time for somebody else to look after the float. So we have agreed to take that on, but we are also purchasing the float from him for $2,000. So that includes the purchase of the holiday float. It includes us bumping up the Santa Claus Parade this year. We're hoping it's not a stationary parade. These guys did a great job on the stationary parade, but we're really hoping that it's a real parade with a marching band and pipers and the whole shebang. So those things cost money. We have to pay for bands and pipers and all this kinds of stuff and advertising and you name it. So we bumped up the cost for the Santa Claus Parade. And we've also gone back to our Christmas holiday campaign, Christmas in the Valley, which is our shopping campaign. So hopefully we'll be able to do a wonderful shopping event like we had a few years ago, where we had lots of people coming in lots of stores and we could offer hot cider and hot chocolate and all these lovely things. So that's why Christmas is a little high, but the float has really made us jump up a bit more than you would have seen in the past. So a lot of people are interested in signs. Signs is always a hot topic on the BIA. We have a billboard out on Airport Road, and we also manage those, what they're called TOD signs. And they're those green signs that you see on the side of the highway that says Creemore 5 kilometers, or there's an arrow that says Creemore 2 kilometers. You see them in various spots sort of all around Creemore. We pay for those on a yearly basis. It's like a rental. We pay a lot of money for those. So that's what you see as the signs for the actual for 2020. And again, for proposed for 2021, we still have that TOD signs in there as well. So that brings us to a grand total of our proposed budget for marketing events of $15,733, and our actual last year was only 9,000, given the fact that all of our events were canceled. So it makes sense that, you know, we have such a bigger number for 2021. Let's hope we can have events again, but right now that's where it stands. We're hoping to have some interesting kind of events. Oh, here's what we were talking about. I was wondering where this slide was. Okay, so spring digital campaigns. So we're talking about short video creation, doing some nice editing, making sure that our videos have a very consistent look and feel with our logos and with you know, our website and things like that on it. So we're hoping to do a rollout of some spring video to encourage people to shop local and dine local. Mother's Day, Mother's Day is another shopping event. We're hoping, like Valentine's Day, to roll out something similar where we can put together gift packages again for Mother's Day and have it on the website. I think overall, we did a survey. Overall, we feel that that was a very successful campaign. A lot of businesses felt that that was worthwhile for them, that we had a lot of clicks on our website. We had, I don't know, 11 or 12,000 views of our video, and lots of people clicked through, lots of people got sales that were attributed to the campaign. So we feel like it was successful enough that we should do it again. And we think we need to wait a bit, but we think Mother's Day would be the perfect time for gift giving. So we put together packages from all the different stores and restaurants, and we put them all on our website, and people can click through and choose and select a package or a dining experience for Mother's Day. Lavender Days. So there isn't really a name for this, so I'm just calling it Lavender Days for now. We're working in conjunction with Purple Hill Lavender Farm, which is located in Creemore, just about 4 or 5 kilometers from the downtown. They have a wonderful lavender farm up there where they offer lavender tours. They have a little shop there. It's a wonderful business. It's really started 2 or 3 years ago, but last year I think we all saw a huge amount of people coming into town who had visited the lavender farm. So we were very interested in that. So we've started talks with the folks that own the farm, Jessica and Emily Greasley, and we've been having a lot of meetings with them, both Sarah, Heather, and I. We formed a committee to work in collaboration because we would love to invite some of those people from that farm, and there are over 7,000 of them in 3 weeks, to come down the road and enjoy what they can in Creemore, and to continue their visit of the area. So they go to the lavender farm, do their tour there, and then they enjoy, you know, food and drink or shopping in the shops. And that's what we saw last year. It was hugely successful, and we really did nothing to help to do anything with it. So this year we think if we collaborate a bit more, we do a little bit more promotion, that we could increase the numbers there. And I think it's going to drive a lot of business between July 25th and July 16th. The reason we have those dates is because that is their peak bloom season. So that is the season where the lavender is really in peak bloom. And that's when they really see tons and tons of people. I think it also worked last year because people were looking for a place to go. They didn't go on vacation, so they were around locally. And also it was all outdoors, so they could do self-guided tours through the lavender fields. So it was kind of, it checked all the boxes during a pandemic, so it worked very well. So we're hoping this year to sort of support that kind of initiative and to really look at agri-farm tourism. That's what we're seeing right now is there's a really big trend in agri-farm tourism. People from cities and from surrounding cities like GTA and, you know, even Guelph, Waterloo, Kitchener, they're really interested in farming and in agritourism. So this is our first step into that area. I think you're gonna see us doing a lot more in the next few years, but this is our first attempt to work with one of our local farms and to really collaborate with them. So in that respect, in that sort of theme, we're thinking of decorating the town in lavender for 3 weeks. We think it'll be beautiful. Lavender will feature in our planters this year as one of our key sort of focused plants in the planters that we're working on. And also we're hoping with the lavender chairs that we put out and maybe some lavender bunting, we're going to ask the stores and restaurants to decorate their windows in lavender. Perhaps you might want to have a specialty treat or a drink or a dish with lavender, or maybe you buy lavender items to put in your window for sale. I think it would be really beautiful. And I think people are really going to appreciate the fact that they can really continue the tour, and the beauty that they saw in the hills will really be reflected back here in the town. So we're pretty excited about that. Part of what we're doing is we're investing in some art, some new artwork that Sarah and I have been working with a local artist to get some beautiful rack cards done so that we can give out these rack cards to all those people up at the farm to say, hey, you know, don't end your visit here. Let's keep going down the road. There's lots more to see in Creemore. So we're hoping that we're going to really entice those people down here, and that we're also going to support the collaboration with some print ads as well. So that's one of our maybe bigger programs that we think is fairly easy to do during a pandemic. It's not suggesting that people gather. It's really just inviting people to explore and experience the town and to see some of the beauty in the downtown, and then exploring within the shops and restaurants. So I think that's one of our major initiatives for the next few months that we can plan on doing. We also think, I know Jen's really excited about this. We've done summer sidewalk sales, and we're hoping to do some more summer sidewalk sales. I haven't got the dates yet about when or where, and I'll take feedback if people have ideas, but I know sidewalk sales are super popular, and during a pandemic, it also works because there's lots of outdoor, we can be outdoors and we don't have to be quite so close to each other. We're hoping in October that we can maybe leverage like the beautiful leaves and Thanksgiving and all the wonderful things that October brings us. And if maybe the restrictions lift by then, maybe in October we can do an event. We don't know, but we're putting aside some money for that. November holiday shopping campaign. We're hoping the pandemic will be kind of subsided enough to be able to do a campaign for holiday shopping. And let's really cross our fingers that we can have the Santa Claus parade this year. You'll see here's a picture of how the log cabin was all decorated up for Christmas, and the beautiful Santa sleigh that they did. And that's the bench where people could sit in and have Santa in the back on the sleigh. So that takes us through the marketing events and programs. Of course, by no means is this the end. Like I said, we will remain flexible, and we will try to figure out as we go, and as everything shifts and changes, so will your board. We will figure it all out as we go. But this is, I think, the best plans we can put in place for now. Okay, with that, I'm going to just soon turn it over to Sarah, but the long-term planning, the great thing is we have wonderful relationship with the Parks and Rec and Tourism. Terry, you guys all know Amanda. She comes to lots of our meetings and gives us lots of great information so that we can review and plan future events together. We would love to find some resources to really research grants, funding, and sponsorships, because as you can see, basically flowers and a few very small marketing initiatives takes up all of our budget. And so, enable us to do more, and I know everybody wants more, we're going to have to look at corporate sponsorships, more funding, grants. Did anyone say they liked writing grants? So that we can get money so we can do some of the things that everybody wants us to do. I know lots of people look at Collingwood and they look at Orangeville and Thornbury and some of these other wonderful towns, but let's remember that they have huge budgets of $500,000 and they have full-time staff. So we have $20,000 levy and a little bit more given to us in donation. So we have basically an operating budget of about $35,000. And I've just demonstrated how it can all be spent very quickly. So if we want to do some more stuff, we're going to have to look for some funding in the future. Again, our partnership with the Creemore Community Foundation and the Village Green Program Manager, that's something I'm happy to talk to you if you ever have questions about. And then the levy. So with that, the levy, our challenge is to be sustainable. So with $20,000, our levy hasn't changed in the last 20 to 30 years. Nobody can remember the last time it was changed. And it's super important for us to be able to sustain the BIA. We can sustain ourselves now, but if we want to keep doing bigger and bigger and better things, we need more money. So we're going to have to figure out how to do that and how to be transparent and equitable against for all our members. So with that, Sarah, you there?
I'm here.
Sarah and I are working very closely on the levy, but Sarah's really taking the lead on this. So I hope you don't mind, Sarah. I'm going to kind of put you on the spotlight and let you kind of take over
Okay.
this bit.
So we did mention this at last year's AGM that the time has come to look at the levy. The expectations of the membership and the community are quite high, and the needs have been changing over the years. We keep taking on more activities and responsibilities without charging more money. We've been able to do that in part because of the generosity of Creemore Springs. I mean, they virtually double our income annually by giving us that $15,000. But if they were ever to back out, we would see all of our servicing just cut dramatically. So I think it's prudent for us to really look at the levy, look at what we pay as property owners and as businesses, figure out what our priorities are, and how much we want to spend to make the BIA a really valuable part of people's business planning and go from there. So this year it's really about learning, understanding about the levy process for me personally as the person that's trying to walk through this with all of our members and be responsible and mindful. So really when we're talking about educating and creating awareness, that's both for us as a board and for our membership so that we all really understand what this looks like. And we're getting feedback. We've already talked to Pamela Fettis, who unfortunately is leaving, but I'm sure there'll be another wonderful, wonderful clerk that can help us through this process. Talk to the township and see kind of where they're at with this. Is it something that, you know, can we turn to the township for more money, or do we really have to turn to our members for more money to do the work that we're doing? That sort of thing. And then once we really understand the situation, we're going to come back to the membership with some scenarios and sort of discuss with everybody the various options, whether we increase the levy, if we plan for increases annually, what the tolerance, we'll be turning to all of the members about what the tolerance is for paying more, that sort of thing. And then we'll talk to the membership, we'll see how you guys feel about it. And then we will create a plan, people understand what the true cost would be, and then the final amount would be put into next year's budget. So we are in a position to up the levy at any time, and we put that in our budget. We take the budget to council, they approve it, your levy goes up. That's the actual process. But we believe that really the process needs to be driven by the members, and we really want to hear from people what they're willing to pay, how much they can pay, and how we want to do this. Because maybe there is an appetite to double what we pay and get more service from the BIA, or maybe we're just like happy to keep it as it is. But we really need to know. We already did undertake the survey, as Lori said. We got some great feedback there. What we understand at this point is people do feel like the BIA is valuable and that we're doing a fairly good job. What we also learned is people are a little bit confused about how much they're paying. So we're going to work on that so everybody understands. But I can tell you all that each building is, the most anybody's paying is $2,000 annually. So that would be the biggest and most expensive properties. So the brewery and Foodland. And we have some members that are paying as little as $160 annually. So you can see that there might be some space there for us to increase the levy. We also have some adjacent commercial use buildings that are, we believe, are receiving the benefit of the BIA without any of the cost. So we'd like to look at pulling them in and just making them members as well. And so that's going to require a little bit of help from the municipality and their professionals to ensure that we do that correctly. But most importantly, it's going to require that our members really believe in what we're doing and see the value in it. So we're going to be out there talking to you. Please, we really want feedback. It informs all of the steps that we take here. I really applaud everybody who signs up and does those surveys. So thank you so much. So this is not the last you'll hear about it. The last The next thing you'll hear from us is probably some draft ideas. So please stay engaged with that. If you want to know what you are paying or what your building owner is paying, contact us. I can provide that information. And we will work very closely with Kelly McDonald and the new treasurer to make sure that this is done very professionally and in a way that that serves you well.
Thanks, Sarah. Okay, so that's a little bit about the levy and the boundary review for 2020. Oh, hold on. Okay. So let's wrap things up. We're almost at the end, folks. It's basically, here's what we're proposing for 2021 in a very, again, this is a very basic, I've sort of rounded everything up so it makes sense to everybody. But if you, again, if you want the details, this is the document you want to see. But this is basically all rolled up into a couple bullet points here. So our beautification, which is our streetscape, $17,000. Member relations and community support is volunteer hours. They're worth a lot of money, but we don't have an actual dollar amount there. Long-term planning, like the levy and some of the work that Sarah's planning to do, again, volunteer hours. So let's appreciate all these volunteer hours people are putting in. Marketing and events, we're proposing $15,700. Admin, meetings, and membership. So we have a membership for the OBIAA, which is the Ontario BIA Association. We have some admin costs for mailings and photocopies and stuff like that. Every year we put a bit of money aside for the AGM meeting, which tonight is on Zoom, so we can't have our traditional meeting. And we're hoping to maybe be able to roll something out to the members in the summer where we can have a bit of a meet and greet if we're allowed to, and maybe have a drink together or something like that. Because right now, traditionally, we always have a dinner at the brewery, a catered dinner. I know Jackie's done it in the last few years. And then we have our meeting, but unfortunately tonight, hopefully you've all got a cup of coffee or something in front of you, or a beer, I don't know, and you're able to watch. But we hope that soon we can all meet again and we can put some money together so that we can all get together and celebrate the wonderful work that everyone on the BIA does. And then contingency, we have a little bit of money left over from everything that we had sort of committed to. And then we thought, let's put that aside. We think that there's going to be some opportunity to do some events or some marketing, and we may need that money. We're sure we're going to need that money. We just don't know where yet until we know a little bit more about what's going on with the pandemic and when restrictions are going to lift. Right now, we just don't know enough. So that's where it stands. That's our big total of $35,000, which is our total annual income. And that sort of brings us to sort of a total budget. All right. So here we are. Join us for a better year in 2021. It's got to be better than 2020, I think, right? So yeah, I know lots of people, it's been an interesting year, and we really hope that everybody is really keen to help us and to work with us and to support some of the things that we're doing. And we appreciate that not everybody has the time to be able to join the BIA or to do the work. But what we could use is your support. So if you cannot volunteer your time and you don't have the time to really get involved in events or marketing or anything like that, the best thing you can do is give us some positive reinforcement or give us some feedback if you're not happy, but at least give us some feedback so we know that you are seeing what's going on and you want to, have a voice. I think that's the most important thing. So with that, I want to say thank you for your attention tonight. And Kayla's going to open it up to everyone. So anyone can ask questions if you want. The folks on the line as well. Sorry that this is a bit awkward. I wish I could see all of you, but I don't even know who's there anymore because I can't seem to see that. But there's a few participants. If you want, you can ask any questions, or you can ask any questions of anybody on the board right now. Does anyone have a question? Just raise your hand and I'll try and, well, no, just speak out because I can't see you, I guess. I don't know how to do this, Kayla.
Lori, if you want to take down your slide, I've promoted everyone to panelist, and you should be able to see them if they choose to turn on their cameras.
Okay. So now I've stopped the sharing. So, okay. Hi, everyone. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? You love it, you hate it. Tell us what you think. Anybody want to start us off?
Oh, hey, Lori.
Hi, Jackie.
excellent job you and Sarah and everybody on the board has been doing. That was an awesome AGM presentation. I just had one question about money that we usually donate to Station on the Green.
No, you're right. Last year, in the past, we have given money to Station on the Green and to the Log Cabin and Jail. Sarah and I and the board, we talked about this. We don't have it in the budget right now, and we didn't give them the money last year because that money has always gone to clean the public washrooms. And with the public washrooms being closed in the last 9 months, we actually didn't give them any money. So this year, we don't know, the public washrooms are still closed. So that's one of those things we're playing by ear. We don't know if we're going to give it to them. I struggled with that one a little bit, as much as I'd love to support the folks on Station on the Green, and I think they do a wonderful job with the washrooms.
Along the same lines, the money that we often donated to the Legion for the Canada Day, I guess Canada Day didn't happen either. So if it happens this year, is there money set aside? Do we still have a reserve, I guess?
Yeah, so we are in a very healthy position financially. Last year, we had a surplus of over $15,000, and we do have money that we can pull from our coffers and add to the budget very easily through a resolution at one of our board meetings if any of these organizations need help. So because going to an organization right now and asking them for what they need feels really kind of foolish for all of us. So we do have money to support them, but we'll wait and see what people need. The budget last year shifted and changed as the year went by, and I imagine we'll see the same thing, but we are well positioned. We're healthy financially. I will send around, and it will be in the minutes, the P&L, as well as the complete budget. And if you have any questions at all, I can answer that. But we are well positioned to help people if it serves the membership going forward with items that are not currently in the budget.
Awesome, thanks.
Thanks, Jackie. That's a great question. Does anyone else have any questions, or any of the board as well? Oh, Doug, sorry. Hi.
Thank you, Lori, and congratulations. It was a very well put together presentation. I really do recognize there's a great deal of work and thought goes into putting this together, and so all of you on the board and those who worked in the preparatory of this presentation to deserve some credit and an extra glass of wine. So good job.
Creemore here.
Or Creemore, of course. I do have a couple of questions. I made a couple of notes because I indicated, or you indicated in your presentation, that there was you wanted to do a reach out to the township in regards to the flower bins or possible maintenance there. Can you sort of give me an outline of what it is that you're thinking? Because obviously that'll be something that the staff will obviously want to address, but certainly council would like to know, what level of additional support is being provided, and that may help you in your discussions when it comes to levy and work and all that. So what is it you're thinking to do?
Yeah, actually, it's fairly basic. Last year, before the pandemic kind of broke out, back in February, I had a wonderful meeting with Terry and Amanda.
Yes.
And we agreed on certain things. Basically, they couldn't do the watering because they didn't have the resource, and they're just in the process of ordering, I think, a watering equipment, a watering truck of some sort. So they weren't really in the position to be able to help us. So we had agreed that we were going to continue with our current service provider for the watering. But what they offered to do was, instead of watering, they said they'd help us do some of the weeding and some of the maintenance. So what they did do is they did come around once and they weeded out under all of the trees, which was great. And they laid down some mulch for us. So we really appreciated that. They also moved our planters when we needed them to be moved between the greenhouse and the street. So they did reach out and help us in those respects, which we really appreciated. We're hoping this year, this is part of our talks we're hoping to have with Terry, we see that there's a resource, that there's been an advertisement for a position for beautification, the township. So we're wondering, could some of that money, could maybe we share it? Could we share part of it? Could we partly fund part of it? I don't know what the actual thing will look like, but for watering, we would love to reduce our costs on watering and weeding and maintenance of the planters. And just because it's such an expensive it's such an expensive thing for our contractors, and we're even having a hard time finding sometimes contractors to do that. Sarah and I in the last 2 weeks have reached out to various different community businesses that do these kinds of things, and just to get some different quotes and some different proposals. And a lot of them, it's just too small of a job for them. So we're looking to see if the township would be interested in maybe partnering with us on that.
Okay, well, I encourage your conversation with the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Manager, Terry, to see what he can sort out. Just to review, of course, 2020, we frankly did not have the staff available.
We know.
As you know, there was a difficult decision made by our senior management and supported by council. That there were many positions that did not get hired through the summer months as a result of this. So,
and we understood.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And so, to be fair, I think the staff did everything they could within the time period and the stresses of everything else that was going on. So I give them all credit for helping out. So I think the really great thing about this is that the flower pots and so on were a great find by Mayor and
Nancy.
I think they were remarkable. They were really nice. So yeah, I encourage your programs that you're suggesting to go with that lavender theme to them, and that'd be really nice to see that actually in the main street there in Creemore, and that'll look really great. If I can, I wanted to ask you about lavender. I know that your presentation, you talked about partnering with the lavender farm that's up the hill there, and great people there, and it's become quite a tourist draw for sure. There's been an awful lot of people find their way up there on that road and explore there for the day, and it's a wonderful view and sight. I do want to share with you, though, of course, that the Township of Clearview has another wonderful lavender farm located in Ottawa, so I wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. And I think that you should maybe partner up with them a little bit just to make sure that visitors that come to their farm know that this is happening in Creemore. And similarly, things happening there, they could go visit there. So I think that it would be something that you might want to speak with them about, to connect the businesses together. So I think that's something I wanted to bring forward to you, to have a talk with South Bay Fields is the name of the company. Are you familiar with them? Mark?
And there's another, I believe there's another one in Dunedin as well.
There is, yes. Yeah. It's just
I'm just gonna pass it over to Sarah, because this is something we have talked about in a lot of our meetings, and so Sarah's gonna probably want to comment.
Yeah, when we first entered into our conversation with the lavender farm, we wanted to make certain that there was a clear understanding of the roles and responsibilities of the BIA when we take on projects like this. We feel a responsibility to all of the residents, not just one business in particular. So we did make it very clear that we were using the lavender theme, not promoting them exclusively or explicitly, but again, just theming and then working with them and now other lavender farms. And I'm hoping maybe Amanda can even assist us, like in particular with the distribution and understanding appropriate distribution of our print materials, these rack cards that are lavender themed, so we can get those up to Ottawa. And I'm really hoping that using Amanda's knowledge of tourism and the township, which is greater than our understanding, that we can really make sure that we make the most of it. We really want to draw people that are here to enjoy these beautiful things into the village. So that's a great suggestion. Thanks, Doug.
You know something, and I think all of your membership should recognize when you guys came up with the idea of experience, that is ideally the COVID situation too, where you want to have people have self-motivated, self-directed, looking after themselves, and that's what you did this thing. Good job. And thank you, Sarah, for that recognition for Amanda. She is a crackerjaw, amazing supporter of all the great work we do across Clearview Township, and she and her team have pivoted significantly from all the tourism work into economic development, and those kits that you mentioned earlier were a great thing for the township. All the businesses across Clearview received those, and that was a really positive thing for the whole community and all the business communities. So one last thing I was going to mention is farmers market. The farmers market continues to be, and I'm supportive of it, as a great thing that happens in our community. And I really hope that we continue our relationship with the BIA and the farmers market, and we hope that they have a successful year again this year. And I know it's still the grounds around the, you know, at the Village Green is still being built, and that would be amazing if it was opened this year. That would really support farmers market. Have you had any conversations with them about their location? I know that our friends at the brewery were very, very gracious to welcome them this past season. And so I'm not sure where it is. I haven't heard from them at all, but I'm just asking, do you know what the status is on
I
their
know that they
beginning?
asked to be at the brewery this year in the event that they cannot be hosted at Station on the Green. So we will welcome them at the brewery if that's the place that they need to be. We can support them with power and water, etc. I know that there's been some talks about other suggestions and other options, but we at the BIA also would like to support them best, but we can as well.
Right on, Heather. That's excellent. That's exactly what we want to do, right? So,
And I just add to that, that Oda has also had some ideas in some of our planning meetings, and he's going to take the lead in being a liaison with the farmers market, right, Oda? And he's got some really creative ideas there too that he wants to maybe present to the membership once he starts to form them a little bit more. I think he needs a bit more feed before he's at the point of presenting, but I think we've got some ideas of how we can support them in the downtown.
Regardless, there'll be a spot.
Yeah.
We will have a space wherever it is.
so I think collaboratively, we're going to work together to make sure that they have a successful year, wherever it happens to be, right? So that's good. Glad to hear that. And Ada, I look forward to meeting you in person sometime. I hear they're sure pumping your tires here, aren't they? They're making you sound like giving you a big job ahead of you. So good job. Look forward to that. Listen, the last thing I want to mention, I know it's a small thing, but the washroom situation. Just so you all know, at the Emergency Operations Committee meetings, that as your mayor, I attended many of those, and I brought it up many times that we need washrooms in our downtown cores. To be fair, I heard from merchants in Stainer very, very vocally that they wanted returned as a result of the music market. You know, we had a washroom that was in there all season long and was there for the purposes of Thursday night's event, right? But the reality is it was used all week long by people who were visiting Mini and Down Stainer. So I want you to know that that was a difficult one for the committee to support, and we were able to get that sorted out later in the year. I apologize, it was September. I'm glad we get it anyway. We were able to get it. It's not the ideal solution. You mentioned, Lori, I know we want to have the proper washrooms and make it a bit more comfortable for our visitors. It is what we have to work with at this time, and so I don't know what the solution is going to be. I would encourage you guys to have great conversations with the Station on the Green Management Board there, and work with Terry and his team at their Recreation Department, see what we can do to support that. But I'm really glad that we were able to at least bring some type of solution, although it was late. But it was a difficult one for the committee to bring that forward. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank you all for your patience. I know it's difficult. So. Anyway, sorry, I don't mean to dominate, but thank you. I hope you have other questions, Lori. Good job.
I just had one question about your rack cards. How many are you planning to print?
I have that here, or Sarah, you might have it.
I think we were sort of looking in the 10,000 range, but we are meeting with Amanda, and I would take some direction from her. I mean, honestly, the cost from 10 to 15 to 20, once you're numbers, not significant, but I would like to put a proper circulation plan in place before deciding on the final number. Yeah, so, but it's going to be a significant run with hopes that we have a significant reach, and the feedback from the ladies at the Lavender Farm is that people do want to pick up something in print, and they do want to see the individual businesses named and what there is on offer in the village. So those are kind of the things that are directing the decision on that that particular project.
Good question. Thank you. Does anyone else, Patrick, Kate, Nancy, Linda, do you guys, or Doug, Doug McKechnie, our counselor? Go ahead.
I'm just sitting here. A very good meeting, Lori. And just one question. The Muskoka chairs, I think that's a great idea. As a matter of fact, I think it was sometime last autumn. I was in Creemore with my family. We were going to a bite to eat, and I think the mill pub, it was full, and everywhere else was full, and we're going to just get something to take out, but there was nowhere to sit. So ended up not eating in Creemore. So anyway, I think the Muskoka chairs are a great idea. Just two questions about them. A, how do you plan on securing them so that they don't get stolen overnight? I mean, I see them in other communities, so I'm sure there must be a way. And B, what about storage in the winter? How are you planning on storing them? Do you have space?
Yeah, good questions, actually. We
With
raised-
the float.
we think they're going to be on
Yeah, with
Santa
the float.
Fe for the winter. We're not kidding. No, we. In terms of securing them, that's a good question. Honestly, I don't know is the answer. I don't know if anybody else on the board has an idea about that. We've had a lot of conversations in this past year about furniture in town, and specifically when I worked a little bit with the build committee for the Village Green, we had several conversations about the same situation. We're going to be putting tables and chairs in the Village Green, right in close to Mill Street, in that little sort of nice little area near the stage where people can sit at a table, beautiful table and chairs. All kinds of those will be around, and it's the same thing. They're going to be out as well, and they're going to be potentially, I don't know. Anyway, the thing is, we've decided that it's just we're not able to put them away every night and bring them out every morning, so we're going to have to leave them there. One of the suggestions from some communities is that they put the name on them. They somehow engrave the name on the back of them or something like that, so that should they get taken or should somebody spot them in someone's yard, maybe that they'd have a name engraved in them. I know that's easy to remove. Oda, do you have a suggestion?
You know what? I think it's a great idea. First of all, we will paint them the color of the year this year to be a lavender color.
Yes.
But by engraving them, even if somebody will take them and change the color, I'm really safe in this place, like without locking the car or my house door and everything. And I know, but I don't see somebody moving the Muskoka chair to be in the middle of the night. Somebody will hear it. But that being said, by engraving it deeply beyond the painted color might be the solution. And let's hope that we live in a community that we trust each other. So.
By somebody hearing them in the night, that's basically Oda's family and my family, because we both live on the street and we hear everything that goes on all night here. Trust me. So
yeah, and thanks for not moving the snow out in the middle of the night anymore, because it's amazing now.
Yeah, right. So yeah, good question though.
Sorry, how many of them?
What about storage?
Storage. Purchasing and where?
I think we should leave them there.
Sorry, bear with me. I'm going to answer Doug's question and then I'm going to answer Jackie's question. So I think the rest of Doug's question was, what about storage? Because he doesn't want to listen to me bang on about something about storage for another year, right, Doug? Because it's like the Santa Claus parade float. I know he's having trauma, I think, from that. Okay, so no, seriously, we have to talk about storage. We are setting up meetings with Township in the next few weeks to talk about, before we even buy the chairs, to talk about whether it's possible. There is some storage. I know I've talked to Dan Perot, I've talked to Dan Gowan. I know there is some storage. I know there's not a lot of storage, whether we could stack them up and keep some there, keep some here. We're gonna have to talk to them before we purchase them. And then there's always the option, like we did with the bikes. We stored them in the Township. They were in our store, and they were sold off this year. So we made some money there from selling them off. Maybe we sell them off at the end of the year if they're not needed. I don't know. These are some of the things we have to explore. I'll be very honest, we're at the very preliminary stages of that. And we really have to work out those details before we make any purchases. So thanks for bringing it up, Doug.
You know what, I was just thinking, if this pandemic carries on much longer, the council chambers isn't being used. You can store them in the council chamber.
Everybody will be sitting in a purple deck here. I love it. I think that's quite a look.
But there's all the restriction that they could be used for. It's like,
Right.
Simply asking,
And after a year of looking for storage for our beloved Santa sleigh, we did secure storage at our private farm. So
Good.
There,
I think the Muskoka chairs are a guide, so well done, yeah.
we'll have to,
Hopefully,
yeah, we'll have to do some serious planning just before we go and purchase them. We 100% know that. You had a question, I went to yours.
Oh, I was just wondering how many, and if you had a street plan, like if you already knew where they were being placed.
Yeah, it's a sort of a work in progress street plan, to be honest. There's 12 that are in the budget. And again, Sarah and I sort of walking the street trying to figure that out. We think there'll be
Yeah, so when we were looking at it, we sort of said, okay, well, there needs to be this much space between, you know, here and here. So places that we are looking at, but would want to talk to business owners before we did anything would be the corner by the drugstore has a really lovely place there. She's got there's a nice big curb there.
and a planter. We wanted them to be also maybe around some of the nice planters. So there could be like a lavender planter and then like 2 chairs.
And it's just going to come down to the fitting. So anywhere we have sort of like 14 feet from the building to the road is kind of one of the locations we'll look at. Probably a couple sets on the like on the Seasons building. It's a nice backdrop with the brick. On a hot day, it's shady and there's lots of space for pedestrian passage. But I would love some recommendations and some ideas from different people in the community because, well, and you too, like you're really good at visualizing, Jackie. So if you have any recommendations, we're open. We're just starting to sort of sketch out what the street's going to look like this year.
Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, it's Kate. I have a suggestion. Just where my store is beside Heirloom and beside the Jerry's Colors of Creemore. The steps are, for some reason, our steps seem to be this like, I don't know, like spot where motorcyclists just sit on the steps. So they like order from the pub, bring their food over and sit on our steps. So it really, really affects me specifically on like a Sunday. Because they'll just sit on the steps and smoke and eat fries. And like some Sundays this summer, I like only sold $40 because they took up this, because people also don't want to come past. So I think I think it's an awkward spot of the sidewalk, but if there could be anything maybe somewhere around there, then maybe it could help alleviate the cyclists and specifically the motorcyclists sitting on the steps.
That's the kind of feedback that will really help us create a plan that will work well. We have the empty lot across the way. Maybe we can kind of know one area is that the overflow from the pub, what you're experiencing. Maybe we can really utilize that space because it wouldn't have an impact on any existing business owners. So maybe we could put like a cluster, like 2 sets of 2 over there, and then it might drag people from your side over to that side. So that's super helpful. Thank you, Kate.
Great idea. Thanks.
You know, if I may, Kate, it's like I hear you. It's like, and I don't think it was a bikers or cyclists. It was more of a certain local people who were sitting every day and throwing cigarette butts that I've been fighting over. That it's actually wrong, and I think that's been kind of fixed by selling certain property, hopefully. But yeah, I hear you. It's like it's been people just hanging around and just tossing cigarettes rather than enjoying anything else of the town.
Yeah.
But I think it's been I haven't seen lots of bikers and cyclists, but I've seen the prior to do that, and perhaps now it might be fixed by some business changing ownership. I don't know if
I agree.
Clearly, but
I agree.
Could you put a sign up or anything, Kate?
I guess I could. The thing is that Jerry, I know, because Jerry's closed on Sundays, so those steps always just kind of get filled on a Sunday because nobody's going in her store. It's not.
That would drive me crazy.
it drives me crazy because I have to ask them to move all the time. And like, obviously my brand is like wellness and all natural remedies. So like people smoking and eating French fries on the steps doesn't totally like, it's not really on brand. So yeah, I guess like maybe some kind of sign, but I think I love the idea of the chairs. I just think it might help with like the, I don't know, loitering. I don't know if that's the right term, but
the chairs, and then we also still have those benches that are owned by the BIA and the township, I think. We also have those benches around too, and last year we dragged a lot of those benches around town so that we could provide more seating. I think Sarah and Heather literally dragged them out from the station on the green and dragged them over to the Seasons building and some of the others, but we recognize that there needs to be more. So we'll have those benches around and we'll have the chairs. I don't know how we can stop smoking, but
yeah. If I may, it's the perhaps if it's too comfortable, people will be too comfortable. It's like if it's the benches that are amazing, the ones with we had in the Friday night, I think that it's people will sit and go instead of just lounge. So it may be something more of a, you can sit, but don't put your whole afternoon in there. So I don't know.
We're sort of hoping, oh, sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
I think that this is a design, like I really believe that considered layout and good design will help us focus so that you as business owners get the benefit of proper seating, and we can direct people that do want to sit, and then it won't interrupt you. I think this is really, really helpful. I think we can make it work.
Yeah, thanks for your comments, Kate.
Yeah,
does anyone else have any, Linda or Patrick, do you guys have any comments or suggestions for us? That's okay if you don't. Anyone else on the board have any questions or concerns? No. Okay. Okay. So where does that leave us? That really brings us new business, unfinished business. I didn't really have anything there because I feel like all of this is new business. I think that brings us to the end of the agenda. I'm sort of desperately looking for Kayla here, but I know her internet is unstable. She texted me, so she's struggling to be
here.
I know you're here. I just know that your internet's unstable. I think that really brings us to an adjournment, unless anybody else has any comments or suggestions they'd like to talk about, or you're always welcome if you're not comfortable in this format. And if you want to reach out to any of the board members, you're welcome to do that by email or giving us a call in our shops or anything like that. Oda and then Doug McKechnie.
Okay, sorry, just a quick question. I've been new to the town and this whole settings, but so I understand that on the side of the street where I am, which is east side, I'm assuming. So it's like we have a much wider sidewalk, and perhaps is there a way that the township would be building set benches on the side, because there is a lot of room for people to sit and enjoy, closer to the road. I mean, it's like maybe I'm out of the line, but I'm just saying, it's like, is it something that, when you're in different cities, that this is being done not by BIA but by townships and to help us for people to enjoy and be safe. So let's say it's some kind of safe benches that are secure to the ground, and they are still within the parameters of being 6 feet or whatever it is from the other buildings and stuff. Is it something that it could be done without us putting the chairs that they maybe take more space and they have to move? So put the benches that are secure to the ground by the township, perhaps.
Douglas, did you want to respond to that? It sounds like you have a response.
I have a simple response for you, Anna. If you recall, I'm not sure if you were here or not, but I'm pretty sure you were. The whole discussion about creating the patios brought to light the fact that we have a road authority in Dan Perot. He is the person who is responsible.
Dan comes to a lot of our
we've all met Dan, and you guys have worked very hard with him.
man. We love
Amazing.
Dan.
Yeah. So if you have a question about benches and they're going to be on sidewalks or on how they encroach upon the roads and so on, Dan is the guy you want to talk to. And he is very creative and very calm and comes to pretty good suggestions pretty easily. So if you have a suggestion, I would encourage you to set up a meeting with him. First of all, just talk to him on the phone, maybe set up a little bit of a Zoom conference, and then he'll be that type of guy. He'll show up and take a look at it right on the side of the street and sort it out. So I would encourage you to do that, Autumn.
Is it something that the township would support financially on their behalf to as a beautification of the town rather than us building a bench?
Well, that's the part of the partnership, right, between the BIA and the township of Clearview, and that also speaks to what Sarah's working on in regards to the levy and the expansion of the actual BIA district. And so that's what the agreement's all about. And some of these benches are jointly owned by the township and by the BIA. Some of the other assets are wholly owned by the BIA. So there's certainly room to have a conversation about that. And I recommend have a conversation with Dan. If you haven't met him, you'll quickly learn he's a really, really accommodating and very wise guy when it comes to how roads are laid out and how sidewalks and all that works. So,
Sarah, did you have a response you wanted to chime in?
I think we currently have about 10 benches.
How many? Sorry, we couldn't hear you.
I think we have about 10 benches.
Yeah.
Many of those sat in the village green prior, but last year those were the ones that we pulled out onto the street. This year, I hope that we'll again get permission this time from the village on the station, because last year we just kind of went and did it and they wondered where they went to. So we are to take those ground permission from Station the Green and the Village Green people. So we do have those assets already. And I think that we should just be really smart about how we position them, and with feedback from everybody, we can do that. But you are right about partnering with the municipality to purchase some of these bigger things. We have been lucky. Like, we've never seen investment from the municipality the same way as we had with the planters. The planters were actually something that we knew we had to deal with for years and years. And we had been saving money annually for when they had to be replaced. So it's been a big relief when they came through and did that. And Mara's been a real friend to the BIA in terms of purchasing those big capital items for us. So if we as members have specific furnishings or anything like that we want, I suggest that we look at bigger projects beyond something that is like a few Muskoka chairs, and we really pitch the project as a whole to the municipality. And I'm sure that we will find support through Mara and the other staff there. But I think we really need to understand what we want out of our Main Street and what we really want in terms of help, and then it'll happen.
Yeah.
By playing chairs, chairs might be a little bit they're kind of wide and take a space, but so all this support from Dan and everybody to to show us where we can place our patios and stuff was so now I more understand that perhaps closer to the street where it actually doesn't have any traffic, there could be some benches done by and secured to the floor that we don't have to be locking over the for the winter, or storing in the help of the township and the government to not only beautification but also to make a better better thing for our town too, so people can just sit. They don't have to eat on those benches. It's just people just want to perhaps sit and rest and just enjoy the view, because we have such a beautiful town here. And it's instead of just bringing benches from outside, putting it closer to between the trees on the road, especially where there is a place, because we are allowed to put tables and chairs there before. So put them permanently there, and you know, and it would kind of make it more, I mean, safe and secure, perhaps.
So we'll talk to Dan as part of our meeting, and then what I think I would like to do is actually just jot down where we think we're going to put things, and then we might send Oda on the street out to get feedback from everybody and make sure. But yeah, we will be bringing in professional help as much as we can, and then maybe by starting with these small assets we already have and working with the municipality, we'll be able to really envision the bigger projects that we can do and then go for grants. I think you're right. We do need help. We really.
Yes.
But I think we also need to have a plan. So I think it's like Sarah said, it's bigger than just a few benches or Muskoka chairs. Maybe Muskoka chairs will be part of our theme. Gears, and I pass it over to you, Doug.
Just one quick question. So when are you anticipating coming to council with your budget? And you'll have to forgive me, but how big a presentation do you plan on making to council? Is it, will you be telling council all about your marketing plans as well and long range plans, or is it strictly dollars and cents that you'll be dealing with when you come to council? And when will you be doing that?
Okay, thank you. Good question. Kayla, I think Kayla, we had talked about this, and I feel like I had a date, and I'm not sure if I wrote it down right in front of me right now, but I think we were talking about before the end of March. I'll have to ask Kayla again, because I know we'd gone through the different dates of the different council meetings and discussed when it would be appropriate. Sarah's looking pensive.
I think what we had kind of discussed was getting some feedback from our members on the budget after this meeting.
That's
then
right.
Going back for our final, so our next meeting with the BIA is on the Tuesday, second Tuesday. Did we want to have one more meeting, and then we would take the budget that is approved by the board to council?
Sorry, yes, and corrected. That's right, Sarah.
And we would probably do a similar presentation to what was done tonight, but truncated. So we would, you know, Cole's note it. I don't think they need the same sort of detail, but we would certainly, as we have in the past, just give them a brief overview of last year and our plans for this year, along with the budget for them to approve. Ultimately, for those who are not with the process, ultimately it is council that approves the BIA budget.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Thanks. That's all I need.
Patrick, did you have a question? I see you went off mute.
Nope, that's good. No, as being, this is, I guess, my first AGM meeting I've attended. No, I thought it was great. It was very informative. On behalf of Sarah and I, as well as our team at Home Hardware, we would like to send a huge shout out to and thank the township and the BIA, as well as the Creemore Echo, for their tremendous amount of support over the past year. Jumping kind of into a new business, 4 months, and then dealing with a pandemic. It was we didn't know what to expect at the most, but with the support of the township and the BIA and the community itself, it's overwhelming, to say the least. And we're happy that we picked Creemore to open up business, and we plan on sticking around for a very long time. So.
Oh, that's so nice to hear, Patrick. Thank you. That really means a lot to us. Honestly, it really does. We're happy to have you here.
Amazing job. Amazing job, guys. Amazing. Like
yeah, and honestly, I don't know where any of us would be without Home Hardware. I think every business on this whole street really owes a debt of gratitude to Home Hardware. I think all of us see each other more often in Home Hardware than we see each other on the street, because we're always there buying light bulbs or batteries or, you know, Christmas lights, like you name it. Home Hardware on a daily basis.
Me coming from Toronto.
We appreciate that too. And I know we were planning on doing the past spring, we were planning on doing a grand reopening, but unfortunately that got halted. But Mr. Measures, if we're still planning on doing a grand reopening, and we'll be putting a hand out to you to see if you want to come and do a ribbon cutting and stuff like that, whether it be near future or late future.
For sure, I will absolutely be there, and I'll have my mask on too. No problem.
Right on.
That's great. Well, that's really nice, Patrick. Nice that you could join us tonight. We're looking forward to working with you this year, and Sarah as well.
Perfect.
Anyone else have any last questions before we call for an adjournment? This is your last big moment to comment. what we'll do is, I know that best form, maybe not everyone could sign on, right? So some people might stream it, or some people might be getting the Coles notes and downloading the presentation, but we'll take feedback in any format we get it. So whether it's people commenting on the Facebook group page, or sending us an email, or giving us a call, or stopping us when we're all on the street or in home hardware, you know, we're happy to take feedback wherever we can get. So with that, I think I'm going to call the adjournment. Can I have a motion for somebody to adjourn the meeting at 8:46 p.m.? Heather, could you put that forward? And Doug, would you like to second that? And all in favor of adjourning the meeting? Okay, so thank you very, very much, everyone. The AGM is done for 2021. Here we
Thank
go.
you, Laura, so much. Like
Thank
amazing.
you so much.
Wow.